we've got a special guest joining us here on the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina Hotline, Craig Way, alongside Jeff Howell, and pleased to be joined by somebody who can really talk about the shift in contrast in uniform colors. One of the members of New Texas women's head coach Vic Schaefer's staff, Elena Lovato, who is also the recruiting coordinator, and she joins us now. So, Elena, welcome to the program, and I hit you with this right out of the gate. You know, you're going from maroon to burnt orange. So, I mean, that's a little bit different coming from Starkville, Mississippi to Austin, Texas, isn't it?
It is.
Uh-oh, I think we just lost Elena. Oh, there we are. You with us, Elena?
Hello, are you there?
Yeah, there you are. We're back with you. You started to say it is. It's quite a difference in the uniform shade of color in these parts, is it not?
Oh, it is. But personally, I think it looks great on all of us as a staff. So it's going to be a good look.
Well, we're glad to have you with us, and I appreciate you taking the time to join us. First of all, I'll ask you what I've asked Coach Schaefer, what I've asked Coach Harris, what I've asked not only members of the women's basketball staff, but all of the other varsity head coaches and assistants that I've visited with over these past 2 months. About the change, and everybody's had to undergo a lot of the polarity change of the things that have happened because of the pandemic and the national health crisis that we're in. But here's the question that I put to Coach Schaefer in a Zoom chat last week. Here's the question I posed to Coach Harris when she was on with us a couple of weeks ago. On top of everything else, you're changing jobs in the middle of all this. So how earth-shattering has this whole thing been in terms of uprooting your entire life in the middle of this pandemic to get ready to make the move to Austin, Texas?
Yeah, you're right. It is a crazy time for us right now. But for me, I've kind of just leaned on my faith for all of it. And when Coach presented us with this opportunity, it just he made it seem like the stars had aligned and this is what we needed to do. So it's an honor and a blessing for all of us to be in this position, to restore a powerhouse, to work for an institution like the University of Texas, that the brand itself is just amazing. It's a university that everyone would like to be a part of, you know, in any sports position, but it's also in the greatest city, you know, in the great state of Texas. So it's a blessing, and not everyone can say that right now and through these times that, you know, they're going through anything like this. So it's not to be taken, you know, for granted. This is a tremendous opportunity, and we're excited about it.
All right, so Elena, one of the things that I have found unique and what would probably serve as quite a comfort to Texas women's basketball fans is this particular coaching staff not only is a proven staff in terms of its wins and losses, but also in its footprint in the state of Texas. Of course, Coach Schaefer being a native Texan, we've talked about that, and him going back frequently going down to Fayette County where he kind of grew up and where his parents are interred, and Coach Harris being with him when he was on the Texas A&M staff. You've served your own time in this state of Texas as well. Does this seem a little bit removed from Grayson County Community College in your days up in the Red River Valley region?
It does. But I think, you know, everything happens for a reason, and for all of us to cross paths and to end up together and then to make this move from Mississippi to Texas, it's like I said, it's the stars have aligned. I think this is supposed to happen. I think that there's great things in store for us. I think there's tons of relationships that we've built in the state of Texas and nationally. So it's a great opportunity to compete at the highest level against some of the most amazing coaches in the game. And with us, our staff is just super excited because we know that that's an amazing state and there's a lot of talent in that state. So now we get to try to keep them home. And, you know, a lot of kids want to play for their in-state institutions, and I think that there's going to be a lot of kids that will want to come to Texas. So it's going to be our job to make sure we get the right kids to come play, you know, at the University of Texas.
Coach, I know 2021 recruiting is off to a really good start for you guys, and I know you can't talk about any of those student-athletes specifically, but, you know, outside of just traditional recruiting, with everything going on, and I know Coach Harris talked about you guys are having to sell houses and looking at moving, but when everything gets in place, how quickly and what is the process like of trying to get your feet on the ground at Texas and evaluate the roster. And I know you guys have added some transfers, but really evaluate the current roster and figure out not just future recruits, but, hey, do we need to go get a grad transfer? Do we need a traditional transfer? What makes sense to add? How, especially now in the middle of a pandemic trying to do this, how challenging is that to really evaluate what you've got and figure out what you need immediately?
It's extremely challenging. We've all tried to do our best at evaluating film, watching Texas games from last season, breaking down each position. Our style of play is really different from what they played this last season. So just trying to see if there's some tendencies or characteristics that we can tell will fit within our system. We knew we were going to have to go find a point guard. It was an honor and to get Kyra Lambert. We had recruited her to come here to Mississippi State because we also needed a point guard with some experience. So for us to get that job in Texas, it just made it a little bit easier to get that commit. Lauren Ebo, we were working on her to come to Mississippi State because we wanted to have a post player who we could have probably sit out for a year, train under Coach Harris, and have the likes of a Jessica Carter and a Yamaya Morris to work with and to develop so that she could come out and play. Now, she made the move with us to Austin, and that was huge because her brother works for Dell, so he's actually going to get placed out there. And so now she'll be able to live in the same city as her brother. He'll get to see her play, so her family was really excited about that. And then we know we have one spot left, so we're watching that transfer portal closely. And I think there's probably, hopefully, going to be someone who could come in and fit that role to complete this year's roster. But yeah, it's been difficult. We've navigated everything the same way, though. We've communicated with kids on the phone. We've had Zoom calls. Just building relationships because Coach Schaefer's not one to just go throw offers around left and right and try to, cast his net out wide. He's more of a picky recruiting coach. He wants to make sure that he surrounds himself with the right people. We recruit to a fit. So we try to build as good of a relationship as possible with these families to make sure that, when these kids come in, that they're ready for the challenge because we don't apologize for being demanding. So it takes a tough kid to play for Coach Schaefer.
Visiting with Elena Lovato, Texas women's basketball assistant coach and recruiting coordinator here on Light the Tower on the Horn. Elena, you mentioned that looking at the players that ultimately signed with Texas, did it shorten the curve for you because as the recruiting coordinator, in terms, like you said, it goes contrary to the old casting a wide net thing, but you had to ramp up quickly on what the needs were going to be for the Longhorns in terms of what would be needed immediately. The fact that you were familiar with Kyra Lambert and the fact that you had looked at that the other ones had Lauren Ebo, that you'd looked at other players as well, did that help shorten the curve for you in terms of what you knew the needs were going to be in your consultation with Coach Schaefer about what the team would need going right after it and going after those two players, for example?
Again, I feel like it just happened to fall that way. Texas was going to need a point guard. We needed some depth at that position, and then we also needed some post-play depth. And we were fortunate to get Deanna Gaston to follow us. We know she's a versatile forward player who can stretch the floor and beat you off the bounce. So we were excited about her here at Mississippi State. So when we made the move to Texas, it was kind of a no-brainer for her and her family to come with us because she really wanted to play for our staff. And now she's closer to home. So we knew that was one post player. And then working on Lauren Ebo and talking to her about the transition we were going to make, she wanted to play for Coach Harris. She wanted to get developed by Coach Harris and play for Coach Schaefer. So it just kind of happened that way. They were lacking with post play, the size and depth chart. They graduated a lot and the point guard position. So we kind of needed the same pieces. So it worked out really well for us. But the good thing was that we were familiar with those kids, and we had been recruiting them because we knew they'd be a fit with our staff. So bringing them on to Texas, the transition was smooth.
I know that I don't even really need to ask this question since you are indeed the recruiting coordinator, but I always ask it of assistant coaches. about the science of recruiting, and a lot of it, assistants will tell me, comes down to how much you enjoy doing it. So I always ask that question of assistants, say, do you like recruiting? Because some coaches might be pretty good at it, but not necessarily enjoy the recruiting process. But everything I've read in terms of your social media activity and the things and the interviews and things with you tells me that you really kind of embrace, enjoy, and really like the whole recruiting game. Am I right about that?
Well, I know that it's the lifeblood of your program. You know, you have to have great players to be successful. And, you know, I'm here to support Coach Schaefer and to help him be the best he can be, and to have his program, you know, in the top 5 of the NCAA each year. So I know that it's important, number one, and I need to do my job. Number two, I think that I kind of know what he wants and what he needs to be successful. So it's made it a little bit easier for me, because I think I have a good idea of what he's looking for. So when we do present kids to him, you know, he's very picky. So he'll evaluate himself. And then once he marks them off and he says, yeah, let's get that kid, then, you know, the bloodhounds are out. So that's when we really try to pick up and we try to get the job done, because, you know, he's not going to offer a whole lot of kids. He's very picky, and he's gonna offer the kids that he knows will fit. So I do enjoy it. I enjoy building relationships. I was fortunate to coach at Trinity Valley Community College, and I think that's where my network kind of grew, because I had, you know, the best AAU coaches across the country wanting to send their kids that weren't going to qualify to play the Division I level. They wanted to place them with me because we were a powerhouse for junior college. And then at the same time, I had a bunch of Division I coaches coming at me to recruit them once they would graduate from Trinity Valley. So I think that junior college level really helped me build a good network. And then over time, like, I've just taken really good care of my kids, and I've been around head coaches like Coach Schaefer and, you know, assistants like Deanna and Johnny, who take really good care of kids. So when these AAU coaches, you know, have some players, they want to place them with us because they know we're going to take care of them. They know we're going to develop them. You know, they know that we're going to do our job to the best of our ability, and the kid always comes first. You know, that's the one thing about Coach Schaefer. He's not just all about the wins and the losses. Like, he's really wanting to develop these young ladies and prepare them for life after basketball.
By the way, for folks who don't know, Elena is being very modest about her time in Athens at Trinity Valley. She did lead them to the national championship, and one of the top JUCO coaches in the country. She was 113-8 in 4 seasons at the level of JUCO, and that included 72-2 and back-to-back national titles there at Trinity Valley. So, which also begs the question, Elena, and I always ask this of assistant coaches: somewhere down the road, and I know you're enjoying your time with the rest of the staff and certainly working for Coach Schaefer, but somewhere down the road, can you see yourself back in the head coaching role, especially at the Division I level?
If a great opportunity were to present itself, you know, something that, you know, Coach Schaefer supported me on, I'm big on God's plan. You know, I feel like, you know, there's a plan out there for me, and right now I'm being obedient. I think this is where I'm supposed to be, and I'm surrounded with the people I'm supposed to be around. And I think, you know, down the road, if an opportunity presents itself and it's a good look, and I have Coach Schaefer's blessing, you know, I would definitely do something like that. Right now, I'm learning from the best. I think he's amazing. He's humble. He's a blue collar guy. He's a competitive spirit, and he's the real MVP. You're talking about a guy who went to a national championship game, graduated 4 seniors, came back, went 37-2, graduated 4 more seniors, went 33-3, finished with the Elite 8. You know, lost 4 more seniors and coached a young team last year to 27-6. So I'm learning from the best every day. And I'm not going to take that for granted, and I'm going to take advantage of it. So I'm good with where I'm at, and we're very happy to be moving along the road to the University of Texas.
Final thing I had for you here, Elena, and I think Johnny mentioned this in the interview, so you can clarify this, is that she mentioned that you were kind of out front of the other ones in terms of actually being able to locate a place to live. I think. Where I mean, have you found a place? Because when we've talked to the coaching staff, they talked about how the challenge when everybody was still obviously sheltering there in Starkville before they could actually make the transitive move to be able to go ahead and make the transition and be able to set up housekeeping, so to speak, be able to make the move into the Austin area. Where are you with all of that right now? Have you been able to make that transition yet?
Oh, yes. I'm under contract right now. I think I close on June 5th. I'm excited. Coach Jackson found a place in the Easton Park area, and I had my realtor look up a few houses in that new district that they're building down there, and he found me one, and I'll be closing on the 5th, and I'll be living close to Coach Jackson, so I'm excited. We're trying to talk Johnny into buying a house down there as well.
All right.
We spend so much time together. It's only natural.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, it's good to know that's going well. Look forward to seeing you in person when we get all this behind us and we draw a little closer to the start of a brand new fall academic and athletic calendar and the preparations that'll go toward the coming women's basketball season. And Elena, we really appreciate you taking the time. We'll, like I said, we'll welcome you to Austin properly when you get to town here. And thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much. We're fired up, man. We can't wait to get down there.
All right. Thank you, Elena.